You don't miss them. That sounds cruel, almost insulting to the ache you feel at night. But stay with me. What you miss isn't a person. It's a version of yourself that no longer exists. We grow up believing love is about the other. Their laugh, their voice, their presence. But if that were true, loss would be simple. You'd miss the sound, the shape, the habit, and then time would erase it. But that's not how it works, is it? You can forget the exact way they smelled. You can forget the pitch of their voice. And still, the emptiness remains. Because what's gone isn't just them. What's gone is who you were when you were with them. Think about it carefully. With some people, you're lighter. With others, you're quieter. Some relationships make you reckless. Others make you gentle. Some make you feel seen. Others make you feel necessary. Every connection doesn't just add someone to your life, it edits you. The ancient Greeks understood this better than we do. Aristotle didn't describe humans as isolated beings. He called us relational creatures. Identity, to him, wasn't fixed. It was shaped through participation, through friendship, through love, through shared meaning. In other words, you are not one self. You are many selves, and relationships decide which one comes alive. So when someone leaves, what dies isn't only the relationship. It's the self that required them to exist. That's why breakups feel like ego death. Not metaphorically, psychologically. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Brain scans show that romantic attachment activates the same neural pathways as identity processing. When a bond forms, your brain doesn't tag it as external, it integrates it as part of you. This is why separation triggers panic, confusion, even physical pain. Your mind isn't saying, they're gone. It's saying, something that was me is missing. That's also why people say things like, I don't know who I am anymore, or I lost myself. They're not being dramatic, they're being precise. You miss the way you laughed more freely. You miss how conversations felt endless. You miss being the person who believed in something simple again. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Sometimes, you don't even like the person that much anymore, but you still miss them. Why? Because the version of you that existed back then was softer, or braver, or more hopeful, or less guarded. You miss that. This is why going back rarely works. You're not trying to reunite with them. You're trying to resurrect a moment in time. But time doesn't resurrect. It replaces. There's a reason memory is unreliable. The philosopher Henry Bergson argued that memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you remember, you reshape the past through the lens of the present. So when you miss them, you're not missing reality. You're missing a curated self-image, a version of you before disappointment, before betrayal, before life complicated your innocence. This explains something else too, why we sometimes miss people who hurt us. It's not masochism, it's not weakness, it's grief for who we were before the wound. Trauma doesn't just harm us, it transforms us. And sometimes the most painful loss isn't the person who left. It's the part of you that trusted without armor. This is why nostalgia is so dangerous. It disguises loss as longing. You think you want them back, but what you really want is to feel like yourself again. The problem is that self is gone. And that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. Existential philosophers like Sartre believed identity is not something you discover. It's something you continuously create. There is no true self waiting to be recovered. There is only the self you are becoming, which means the version of you that existed with them was never permanent. It was a chapter, not the book. Still, we cling. We replay conversations. We stalk old photos. We imagine alternate endings. Not because we believe they'll come back, but because letting go means accepting that we have changed. And change is terrifying. Because change demands responsibility. If you accept that you don't miss them, but who you were, then a hard question follows. Who are you now? And who will you become without them? This is where many people get stuck. They mourn, but they don't integrate. They keep trying to recreate an old self instead of authoring a new one. Psychologists call this identity foreclosure. You lock yourself into a past version of yourself because the future feels too uncertain. But here's the paradox. The self you miss was born through a relationship, which means your future selves will be born the same way. Not necessarily through romance, but through experiences, through risks, through connection. You don't lose your capacity to be that person again. You lose the context that made them emerge. And context can be rebuilt, not identically, but meaningfully. This is where the darkness softens. You are not grieving a dead person. You are grieving a completed self, and that self completed its purpose. It taught you something. It revealed something. It expanded you. Painful endings don't erase that. They prove it mattered. The mistake is thinking the story ended because the character left. It didn't. It turned the page. One day you'll notice something strange. You'll laugh differently, speak differently, think differently, and for a moment you'll miss the old way, but then you'll realize this version of you couldn't exist back then, and that doesn't betray who you were. It honors them, because growth is not abandonment, it's continuation. So the next time you feel that ache, that hollow, familiar pull, ask yourself honestly, do I miss them? Or do I miss the way I felt when I believed the world was simpler? Do I miss their presence? Or do I miss my own openness? Do I want them back? Or do I want myself back? And if it's the latter, then the work isn't to chase the past. It's to build a future where a new version of you gets to exist, one that is wiser, one that is deeper, one that knows loss and still chooses to connect.